All right, so are you ready for this? We're going deep on AI and coding today. You guys have sent in some seriously interesting sources about AI writing code, and we're going to break it all down. It's way bigger than just some lines of code. That we're talking about a potential seismic shift in the whole tech world.
Yeah, it really is. It's fascinating to see so many prominent figures making these bold predictions. Some are saying AI could be writing the majority or even all of the code in the very near future. Like we're talking months, not years.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too. I mean, we've got CEOs like Dario Amodei at Anthropic predicting 90% of code being AI generated within just 3 to 6 months, and potentially 100% within a year. I mean, that's a pretty massive claim.
It is, and it really highlights the speed at which things are moving. Amadei's reasoning is largely based on the capabilities of tools like Claude Code, which are making significant strides in code generation.
Right, and we're not just talking theory here. People are already using this vibe coding,
Mm-hmm.
building apps without writing any code themselves, just describing what they want.
Exactly. The idea of democratizing software development is a big part of the excitement. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of their technical background, can bring their ideas to life.
It's pretty wild to think about. But if these predictions are even remotely accurate, what does it mean for all the software engineers out there? Is everyone going to be out of a job?
Well, Amadei actually addresses that directly. He argues that even with AI generating the code, human programmers will still play a vital role. He uses this analogy of generals guiding AI armies.
Okay, so instead of writing every line of code, we'd be more like architects or project managers, making sure the AI understands the big picture and builds what we need.
That's one way to look at it. Humans would focus on the high-level design, defining the overall strategy and goals, ensuring the code meets security and ethical standards, that kind of thing.
That makes sense. But not everyone is quite so gung.
Definitely not. We've got some industry leaders taking a more measured approach. IBM CEO Arvind Krishna, for example, predicts a more conservative figure, saying AI will likely write around 20–30% of code.
So why the difference in predictions? What's Krishna's reasoning?
Well, he emphasizes the complexity of large-scale enterprise systems. They often involve intricate dependencies, legacy code, and very strict security protocols. It's not a simple matter of just plugging in an AI and letting it run wild.
Yeah, you can't just tell an AI to make me a banking app and expect it to handle all the security and regulatory complexities. There are some serious real-world considerations to take into account.
Exactly, and this is where the different perspectives get really interesting. Is AI going to completely revolutionize the industry, or is it simply going to be a powerful tool that augments human capabilities?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It seems like the truth probably lies somewhere in between. But even if AI doesn't completely take over, the landscape of coding is clearly changing rapidly. I mean, Google's already using AI to generate a significant chunk of its new code.
That's right. Sundar Pichai, Google's CEO, revealed last year that over 25% of their new code was already being generated by AI. That's a pretty clear indicator that even the tech giants are taking this seriously.
And then you've got Meta, where Mark Zuckerberg is talking about deploying AI agents as mid-level software engineers. I mean, that sounds like AI is literally taking on job roles, not just assisting with them.
That's a key point to consider. What happens to those traditional software engineering roles as AI becomes more capable? Do they evolve or do they disappear?
All right, let's pause here for a second. This is a lot to digest. We've gone from AI rating a few lines of code to potentially reshaping entire companies and industries. What do you think is the most significant takeaway so far?
I think it's the sheer speed and scope of this potential transformation. Regardless of the exact percentages, AI is already making waves in the world of coding. And those waves are only going to get bigger.
Okay, I think my brain has rebooted after that last segment. We've been talking about AI writing code, but what about the code itself? Could this revolution impact programming languages as we know them?
Absolutely. The emergence of AI coders could lead to a significant evolution, perhaps even a complete overhaul of the languages we use to create software.
You know, it's kind of funny. Right now, everyone's trying to figure out Python and JavaScript, but maybe the AI will be like, humans, your languages are so inefficient. Watch this.
Yeah, that's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Think about it. If AI is both writing and interpreting the code, it doesn't necessarily need the same structures and syntax that make a language readable for humans.
So we could see the rise of entirely new programming languages, ones that are optimized for AI efficiency rather than human comprehension.
Exactly. These languages might be more concise, more logical, and more capable of expressing complex ideas, but they could also be completely incomprehensible to us.
That's both fascinating and a little bit frightening. It's like we're handing over the keys to the kingdom without even being able to read the instructions.
It's a valid concern. How do we ensure control and oversight if we don't understand the language of the code that underpins our digital world.
Right. It's like, hey, AI build me a self-driving car, but we can't read the code to see how it actually makes decisions. That's a bit of a trust leap, isn't it?
It is, and it raises some important questions about transparency and accountability in an AI-driven world. Who's responsible if something goes wrong? How do we debug a system we don't understand?
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Earlier, you mentioned that some developers think the most critical software like operating systems will still require human ingenuity. Why is that?
Well, AI is fantastic at learning from existing data and patterns, but truly groundbreaking innovation often requires thinking outside the box, coming up with ideas that haven't been done before.
So while AI can excel at optimizing existing systems or automating repetitive tasks, it's not as good at those aha moments of creative inspiration that lead to entirely new concepts.
Precisely. Think about the development of the internet or the smartphone. These were paradigm-shifting innovations that required human imagination and a deep understanding of human needs.
And those kinds of innovations are likely to continue being driven by humans, even in a world where AI is handling much of the coding heavy lifting.
It seems likely. There's a certain element of creativity, intuition, and even empathy that's difficult to replicate in a machine.
Okay, so AI might not be writing the next Linux kernel anytime soon, but what about all the other code out there? The apps, the websites, the software that powers our everyday lives.
That's where things get really interesting. If AI can handle the more routine aspects of coding, it frees up human developers to focus on the bigger picture, the design, the user experience, the strategic vision.
So it's not just about writing code, it's about understanding the problem you're trying to solve and crafting a solution that meets real human needs.
Exactly. And that requires a deep understanding of human psychology design principles and business strategy skills that are likely to become even more valuable in an AI-driven world.
This makes me think about the whole vibe coding thing again. If anyone can build an app by just describing what they want, what does that mean for the future of software?
It's a huge question. On the one hand, it could lead to an explosion of creativity and innovation. Imagine a world where anyone with an idea can bring it to life without needing to learn complex coding languages.
That's exciting. It's like the democratization of software development we talked about earlier. But on the other hand, could it also lead to a glut of poorly designed, buggy apps?
That's definitely a possibility. There's a risk that people might jump into building things without really understanding the underlying principles of good software design.
It's like giving everyone a set of power tools without any training on how to use them safely and effectively. You might end up with a lot of half-finished projects and a few accidental injuries along the way.
That's a great analogy. And it highlights the importance of education and training, even in a world where AI is making coding more accessible. It's not just about learning to code, it's about learning to think critically about software design, problem solving, and user experience.
Okay, so vibe coding is a powerful tool, but it's not a magic wand. It's still important to understand the fundamentals of software development and approach it with a critical eye.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that AI is a tool. It's up to us to use it wisely, to ensure it's used for good, and to address the potential challenges that come with it.
All right, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with all these possibilities, but also incredibly excited. It's clear that the world of coding is on the verge of a major transformation. What do you think are some of the key questions we need to be asking ourselves as we navigate this new landscape?
That's a great question. I think it comes down to questions of control ethics and the future of work. How do we ensure that AI-powered systems are safe, reliable, and aligned with human values?
Right, and what happens to the millions of people whose jobs might be impacted by this shift? Are we prepared for a future where coding is no longer the exclusive domain of highly skilled engineers?
These are big questions, and there's no easy answer. But they're questions we need to start grappling with now before the wave of AI innovation crashes over us and we're left scrambling to catch up.
Okay, we're back. And you know what? After that last segment, I feel like we've journeyed to the future and back. And honestly, I'm still processing it all.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to take in. We've talked about AI writing code, potentially even in its own languages and
Yeah.
the implications for software development as a whole. But I think the most important question is, what does all this mean for us? The humans in the equation.
Exactly. I mean, are we all destined to become obsolete? Will robots be coding robots while we humans just kind of sit around wondering what to do with ourselves?
Well, I don't think it's quite as dramatic as all that. Remember Emma Day's analogy about human programmers becoming generals guiding these AI armies? It's likely that our roles will evolve rather than disappear completely.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that. So instead of getting bogged down in, the nitty-gritty of writing every line of code, We might be focusing on the bigger picture, the strategy, the design, and ensuring that the AI is actually building what we need.
Right. Imagine a world where you can just describe your vision for an app, the user experience you want to create, the problems you want to solve, and the AI just generates the code to make it happen. That frees up human developers to focus on the aspects that require those uniquely human skills like creativity, empathy, and critical thinking.
That makes a lot of sense. So AI can handle the technical heavy lifting, but it still needs that human guidance and direction. We're not just talking about job displacement, but like job evolution.
Precisely. And this evolution will likely lead to entirely new job roles and specializations that we haven't even thought of yet. Think about it. Someone will need to design those AI-powered coding tools. Someone will need to train the AI models, and someone will need to ensure that these systems are used ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, it's like instead of worrying about being replaced by robots, we need to start thinking about how we can work alongside them, leveraging their strengths while focusing on our own.
Exactly. It's about finding the right balance, the right synergy between human ingenuity and artificial intelligence. And that collaboration has the potential to unlock some incredible new possibilities.
Okay, so we might not be coding the same way in the future, but there will still be a need for human involvement in the software development process. But let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
Hmm.
What if the AI gets so good that it can truly do everything a human programmer can do, but faster and cheaper?
That's a question a lot of people are asking. But even if AI reaches that level of proficiency, there are certain aspects of software development that will likely remain distinctly human.
Oh, I'm curious. What are those aspects?
Well, think about the creative spark, the aha moment that leads to a truly groundbreaking innovation. AI is great at pattern recognition learning from existing data, but it's not as good at generating those original out-of-the-box ideas.
So the next big technological leap, the next internet or smartphone, will still likely come from human ingenuity.
It seems probable. Those kinds of paradigm shifts often come from a deep understanding of human needs, desires, and motivations, something that AI, at least in its current form, hasn't quite mastered.
And even beyond those big leaps, there's the whole realm of user experience design, making sure that software is intuitive, enjoyable, and meets the needs of real people. That requires a level of empathy and understanding that AI might struggle to replicate.
You're absolutely right. Building software isn't just about writing lines of code. It's about understanding human behavior, anticipating needs, and crafting experiences that are both functional and delightful.
So even in a world where AI is writing most of the code, there will still be a need for human designers, strategists, and those who can bridge the gap between technology and the human experience.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that AI is a tool, a powerful tool, but ultimately a tool that needs human guidance and direction. It's up to us to shape how this technology is used, to ensure it's used for good, and to address the potential challenges that come along with it.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on the future of coding, and frankly, it's both exciting and a little bit daunting.
I think that's a natural reaction. We're standing at the cusp of a major technological shift, and it's impossible to predict exactly how things will unfold. But the important thing is to stay informed, stay curious, and stay engaged in the conversation.
I couldn't agree more. So for all of you listening out there, whether you're a seasoned coder or just someone who's fascinated by the possibilities of AI, don't be afraid to dive in, ask questions, and explore this rapidly evolving landscape.
The future of coding is being written right now, and it's a story that we're all part of writing.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of AI and coding. Thanks for joining us on this journey, and we'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of the ideas that are shaping our world.